The stars had never seemed so quiet until today. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty, watching the endless black space through the main window. His weathered hands gripped the rail as he thought about what they were about to do. After 300 years of believing they were alone in the universe, Earth was finally ready to say hello to anyone who might be listening. "Admiral, all systems are ready," Captain Lisa Martinez said from behind him. Her voice was steady, but Jake could hear the excitement underneath. They all felt it. This was the moment that would change everything for humanity. Jake turned around and looked at his crew. These were good people, the best Earth had to offer. Dr. Nathan Cross sat at his science station, checking the translation programs one last time. Commander Amy Johnson watched the tactical displays, making sure their 12 ships were in perfect formation. Lieutenant Ryan Parker had his hands ready over the communication controls, waiting for the order that would send humanity's first message to the galaxy. "Dr. Cross, are you sure the message will be understood?" Jake asked. Nathan looked up from his screens. His eyes were bright with curiosity. "We've included mathematical formulas, pictures, and basic language patterns. If there's anyone out there with technology like ours, they should be able to figure out what we're saying." Jake nodded. The message was simple. It told whoever might receive it that humans came from a planet called Earth, that they were peaceful explorers, and that they wanted to meet other intelligent life. It seemed like such a small thing, but Jake knew it would echo across the galaxy. Once they sent it, "All ships report ready, Admiral," Amy said. "The quantum communication array is charged and waiting." Jake took a deep breath. His grandfather had fought in the solar wars, back when humans could barely travel between planets. Now here they were, about to announce themselves to an entire galaxy. It felt impossible, but the technology was real. The 12 ships of Earth's first interstellar fleet were proof of how far they had come. "Send the message," Jake ordered. Ryan's fingers moved across his controls. "Message sent, sir. The quantum signal is traveling at maximum speed. It should reach the outer edge of the galaxy in about 6 hours. The bridge fell quiet. Everyone knew they had just made history, but now came the hard part. Waiting. Jake looked around at his crew again. They had trained for years for this moment, but no one really knew what would happen next. 3,000 light-years away, on a space station orbiting the planet Zephyr, Communications Officer Veltar was having a normal day. The Zephyrian had been monitoring space signals for over 50 years and nothing interesting ever happened. The galaxy had been quiet for so long that most people forgot there was ever a time when it wasn't. Then his equipment started making sounds he had never heard before. Veltar's tentacles moved quickly over his controls, trying to understand what he was seeing. The signal was strong, much stronger than anything natural. It was definitely artificial, made by someone with advanced technology. But that was impossible. The Galactic Council controlled all advanced civilizations, and no one was supposed to be making signals like this. As Veltar worked to decode the message, his body started to shake. The mathematics were familiar, but the language patterns were like nothing in the Council's databases. Then he saw the images. Pictures of a blue and green planet. Pictures of strange creatures that walked on 2 legs and had no fur, scales, or natural armor. The creatures looked exactly like the ancient enemy from the old stories. Veltar reached for his emergency communicator with a trembling tentacle. His voice cracked as he spoke. "Council Emergency Protocol 7. This is monitoring. Station Zephyr 12. The Silence Bringers have returned. On the Council homeworld of Aegis Prime, the emergency signal caused chaos. Council leader Zethtar, a tall being with gray skin and 4 arms, read the report 3 times before he believed it. Around the great meeting hall, representatives from dozens of species started talking at once. Fear filled the room like a living thing. "Impossible," said Representative Clix of the Mantis people. "The Silence Bringers disappeared 50,000 years ago. They are gone forever." "The signal is real," Zethtar said, his voice cutting through the noise. "Our best scientists have confirmed it. The transmission patterns match the ancient records exactly." An old turtle-like being named Elder Rocks slowly stood up. His shell was covered with scars from battles long past. I am the oldest among us. My people's memories go back further than most. The Silence Bringers were not just warriors, they were destroyers of worlds. They conquered 40% of the galaxy before they vanished. The hall became quiet. Everyone knew the stories, but hearing them from someone whose people had lived through those dark times made them real again. They called them the Silence Bringers because wherever they went, all communication stopped. Elder Rocks continued. Not because they destroyed the technology, but because they destroyed everyone who might have used it. Entire species were wiped out. Planets were left empty. The survivors hid in the deepest parts of space for thousands of years. Representative Yill of the Crystal Cities spoke up. But surely they have changed. It has been 50,000 years. Perhaps they are different now. Zethtar activated the main display. The decoded message from Earth appeared for everyone to see. Pictures of humans, their planet, their ships. The translation was rough, but the meaning was clear. They claimed to come in peace. They say they are peaceful, Zethtar said. But their ancestors said the same thing when they first appeared. The early records show that the Silence Bringers always claimed to be explorers and traders. It was only after planets welcomed them that the killing began. Elder Rocks nodded slowly. They would arrive with gifts and kind words. They would study the local defenses and learn about the population. Then, when they were ready, they would strike. No one ever saw it coming until it was too late. Commander Hicks of the Defense Fleet stood up. His people were warriors, one of the few species that had successfully fought the ancient humans and survived. How many ships do they have? The signal originated from 12 vessels, Zethtar replied. But if they are like their ancestors, 12 ships might be enough to conquer half the galaxy. The hall erupted in worried voices again. Some representatives wanted to attack immediately. Others suggested hiding. A few thought they should try to negotiate. Zethtar raised all forearms for silence. We cannot panic. Yes, the Silence Bringers have returned, but we are not the same species that faced them before. We have the Galactic Council. We have the Peace Accords. We have weapons and defenses they have never seen. And they have had 50,000 years to develop new technologies, Elder Rocks pointed out quietly. Back on the UES Liberty, the crew was still waiting for a response to their message. They had no idea that across the galaxy, emergency fleets were being assembled. Ancient weapons that had not been used for millennia were being prepared for war. Entire species were making plans to hide or fight. Admiral Jake Morrison looked at the stars and wondered what kind of neighbors humanity was about to meet. He hoped they would be friendly. He had no way of knowing that to those neighbors, humans were not the new kids in the galaxy. They were the monsters returning home. 3 days after sending their message, the human fleet encountered their first aliens. Lieutenant Ryan Parker was the first to spot them on his screens. His heart jumped as he saw the strange shapes appearing on the long-range sensors. Admiral Morrison to the bridge immediately. Captain Lisa Martinez called over the ship's communication system. We have contact. Jake arrived on the bridge in less than 2 minutes, still putting on his uniform jacket. What do we have? 6 alien ships, sir, Ryan reported. They're about 2 hours away at current speed. The ships look nothing like ours. Very organic. Almost like they're grown instead of built. Dr. Nathan Cross looked up from his science station, excitement clear in his voice. Admiral, we're detecting energy signatures I've never seen before. Their technology is completely different from ours, but it's definitely advanced. Jake studied, the display showing the alien vessels. They looked like giant sea creatures swimming through space with flowing curves and what appeared to be fins. Are they heading toward us? Yes, sir, Amy Johnson answered from Tactical. But Admiral, there's something strange. Our computers show they could outrun us easily, but they're moving very slowly, almost like they don't want to get here too fast. Maybe they're being careful just like we are, Jake said. Open a communication channel. Let's try to talk to them. Ryan worked at his controls for several minutes. I'm sending the same basic message we broadcast earlier, sir. Mathematics, pictures, peaceful intentions. They waited. The alien ships continued their slow approach but sent no response. "Try again," Jake ordered. "Use different mathematical sequences. Maybe their number system is different." After another hour of trying, the alien ships suddenly stopped. They hung in space about 50,000 kilometers away, close enough to be clearly visible but far enough to run if needed. Then something unexpected happened. All 6 alien ships turned around and began moving away as fast as they could. "Sir, they're fleeing," Amy reported, confusion in her voice. "Energy readings show they're pushing their engines past safe limits." Jake stared at the display. "They're running away from us? But we haven't done anything threatening." "Maybe they're getting reinforcements," Dr. Cross suggested. "This could be normal procedure for first contact." But Jake felt uneasy. Something was wrong. Why would advanced aliens run away from a peaceful message? 2 hours later, they got their answer. Ryan's equipment picked up a transmission that wasn't meant for them. The aliens were talking to someone else, and the translation software was able to decode parts of it. "Can you clean up the signal?" Jake asked. Ryan worked for several minutes. "It's still broken, sir, but I can make out some words. They keep saying something that translates to silence bringers and the ancient enemy has returned. They sound terrified." Dr. Cross looked puzzled. "Ancient enemy? Admiral, I think there's been some kind of mistake. They think we're someone else." Jake felt a cold feeling in his stomach. "Or maybe we are someone else. Nathan, I want you to work with Dr. Foster in archaeology. Start looking through our historical records. See if humans ever left Earth before our current space program." Dr. Kelly Foster was Earth's best expert on ancient civilizations. She had joined the fleet to study alien cultures, but now she found herself digging into human history instead. Working with Nathan, she started looking at records that went back thousands of years. What they found changed everything. 3 days later, Kelly and Nathan called an emergency meeting with the senior officers. Kelly's face was pale as she activated the main display in the conference room. "Admiral, we found something," she began. "About 4,000 years ago, during what we call the Bronze Age collapse, a large group of humans disappeared from Earth. Historical records are unclear, but it seems like they had access to advanced technology that was lost when their civilization fell." Nathan took over. "We always assumed they died out or were absorbed by other cultures, but looking at the alien transmission we intercepted, I think they survived. I think they left Earth and went to the stars." Jake leaned forward. "You're saying humans have been in space for 4,000 years? "The evidence suggests it," Kelly said. "And Admiral, based on what the aliens are saying about us, I don't think our ancestors were very nice neighbors." Captain Sam Rodriguez, the fleet's fighter squadron leader, spoke up. "What exactly are they saying about us?" Nathan activated another display. "We've intercepted more transmissions. The translation is getting better. They call ancient humans the silence bringers or eaters of worlds. According to their records, humans conquered almost half the galaxy before mysteriously disappearing about 50,000 years ago." The room became very quiet. Finally, General Alex Turner, the ground forces commander, asked the question everyone was thinking. "Are you telling us that humans were galactic conquerors? That we were the bad guys?" Kelly nodded slowly. "The alien. Records describe a species that looked exactly like us. They were master warriors and strategists. They would arrive at planets claiming to be peaceful traders, then study the local defenses and population. When they were ready, they would attack and take over entire worlds." Commander Troy Bennett, the tactical officer, studied the data. "How did they disappear? You don't just lose half a galaxy." "That's the mystery," Nathan said. "The alien records show that about 50,000 years ago, all human activity just stopped. Their ships vanished, their colonies went silent, and no one ever saw them again. The galaxy has been waiting for humans to return ever since." Jake felt sick. "So when we sent our peaceful message, they thought the monsters were coming back." "Exactly," Kelly confirmed. "And Admiral, there's more. We've been tracking alien fleet movements through their communication signals. Every major species in the galaxy is mobilizing their military forces. They're not just scared of us, they're preparing for war." Captain Lisa Martinez had been quiet during the presentation, but now she spoke up. "Admiral, we need to make a decision. Do we continue trying to make contact, or do we return to Earth? Before Jake could answer, Lieutenant Ryan Parker's voice came over the communication system. Admiral Morrison to the bridge immediately. We have a massive fleet approaching. Sir, there are hundreds of ships. The senior officers rushed to the bridge. Through the main window, they could see lights in the distance growing brighter as the alien fleet approached. The tactical display showed more ships than Earth's sensors could count. My God, Amy whispered. Admiral, preliminary scans show at least 300 vessels, maybe more. They're from different species, all working together. Jake watched the approaching fleet and realized they were facing the consequences of actions taken by humans who lived thousands of years before they were born. Earth's first contact with alien life was turning into a confrontation with the entire galaxy. Sir? Incoming transmission, Ryan reported. It's directed at us, and the translation software is working. Put it through, Jake ordered. A deep voice filled the bridge, speaking in broken but understandable English. Silence bringers of the ancient darkness, you have returned to bring death to the galaxy. We are the Galactic Council Defense Fleet. Surrender now or face the combined might of 47 civilizations. The age of silence ends today. Jake looked around at his crew. 12 human ships against hundreds of alien vessels, all because of something their ancestors had done long before any of them were born. The quiet of space was about to become very loud indeed. Admiral Jake Morrison stared at the massive alien fleet spreading across the stars in front of them. 300 ships, maybe more, all pointing their weapons at his 12 vessels. The voice demanding their surrender still echoed in his mind. Admiral, what are your orders? Captain Lisa Martinez asked quietly. Jake felt the weight of every decision his ancestors had made 4,000 years ago. But these weren't his ancestors' crimes, and these weren't his ancestors' choices. He was responsible for the lives of 5,000 human beings aboard his ships, and for the future of humanity itself. Open a communication channel, he said. Let me talk to whoever's in charge of that fleet. Lieutenant Ryan Parker worked at his controls. Channel open, sir. Jake stepped forward, speaking clearly and calmly. This is Admiral Jake Morrison of the Terran Federation Fleet. We received your message, but there's been a misunderstanding. We are not the humans you remember from your history. We come in peace, and we want to talk. The response came quickly, filled with anger and fear. There is no misunderstanding, Silence Bringer. Your kind murdered billions. You turned thriving worlds into empty graves. We will not let you do it again. We are not our ancestors, Jake replied. The humans you feared disappeared 50,000 years ago. We are their descendants, but we are different people. We don't want to conquer anyone. We just want to explore the galaxy and meet new friends. A different voice came through the communication system, older and more tired. I am Council Leader Zethtar. Young human, you speak of peace. But your ancestors spoke the same words before they brought war to our worlds. Jake looked around his bridge at his crew. Dr. Nathan Cross was working frantically at his science station, trying to learn more about the alien fleet. Commander Amy Johnson watched the tactical displays, calculating their chances if fighting broke out. They all looked scared, but they trusted him to find a way out of this. Council Leader Zethtar, Jake said, I understand your fear, but judge us by our actions, not by stories from the past. We have done nothing to threaten you. We sent a peaceful message asking for friendship. Your ancestors also arrived with gifts and kind words, another voice interrupted. This one sounded very old and sad. I am Elder Rox, of the Turtle People. My species survived your ancestors' attacks, but barely. We remember the patterns. First came the traders, then came the scouts, then came the war fleets. Jake felt frustrated. How could he prove they were different when the aliens had already made up their minds? Then Dr. Cross looked up from his station with an idea. Admiral, Nathan said quietly, ask them about their technology. If we can show them something they've never seen before, something peaceful, maybe they'll listen. Jake nodded. Elder Rox, Council Leader Zethtar, we want to prove we're different. What if we share some of our technology with you? Not weapons, but something helpful. Something that shows we want to help, not hurt. The alien communication channel went quiet for several minutes. Jake could imagine the argument happening on their command ships. Finally, Zethtar's voice returned. What kind of technology? Dr. Cross whispered to Jake. Our medical nanobots. They can heal injuries and cure diseases. Every species could use that. We have medical technology that can heal wounds and cure sickness, Jake said. We could send you the data, show you how it works. It's designed to help people, not harm them. Another long pause. Then Elder Rock spoke. Send the data to our science ships. But know this, human. If this is some kind of trick, if your medicine is actually a weapon, we will destroy you immediately. Understood, Jake replied. He nodded to Nathan, who began transmitting the medical data. While they waited for the aliens to study their information, Jake called his senior officers to a quick meeting. Captain Sam Rodriguez looked angry. Admiral, why are we trying so hard to please them? Sam asked. They're threatening us based on something that happened thousands of years ago. Maybe we should show them that modern humans aren't pushovers. And prove their point? Jake replied. Sam, if we fight now, we become exactly what they think we are. General Alex Turner agreed with Jake. The captain has a point though, sir. They have us outnumbered, but our ships are more advanced. If it comes to fighting, we might have a chance. Ambassador Rachel Stone, Earth's diplomatic expert, spoke up. Fighting should be our last option, Admiral. If we can convince even some of them that we're different, it could split their alliance. Not all of those species may want a war. Jake was about to respond when Ryan's voice came over the communication system. Admiral, incoming transmission from the alien fleet. It sounds urgent. They rushed back to the bridge. Dr. Cross checked his readings. Sir, their science ships have been studying our medical data for 2 hours. I'm detecting a lot of communication between their different species. The main communication channel activated. This time it was a voice they hadn't heard before, speaking much better English than the others. Human vessels, this is Science Commander Veltar of the Zephyrian Republic. Your medical technology is remarkable. We have never seen anything like it. These nanobots could save millions of lives across the galaxy. Jake felt a spark of hope. Science Commander, we want to share this technology freely. We believe medical knowledge belongs to everyone. That is not what your ancestors believed, Elder Rox's voice cut in. They used their advanced technology to control and destroy. But Elder Rox, Veltar replied, this technology cannot be weaponized. Our best scientists have studied it for hours. It can only heal, never harm. The humans could have sent us weapon designs and claimed they were medical tools. Instead, they sent us something that could only help people. Jake could hear arguing in the background of the alien transmission. It sounded like their fleet was having the same kind of debate his officers had been having. Then Council Leader Zethtar spoke again. Admiral Morrison, there are those among us who think you might be telling the truth about being different. But there are also those who believe this is exactly how your ancestors operated, earning trust before striking. Then test us. Jake said suddenly, don't just take our word for it, give us a chance to prove we're different. How? Zethtar asked. Jake looked at his crew, then at the display showing the massive alien fleet. He was about to make the biggest gamble in human history. Let us visit one of your worlds, he said. Not as conquerors, but as guests. Give us a chance to show you who we really are. If we're lying, if we try anything hostile, then you can destroy us. But if we prove we're peaceful, then maybe we can start to build trust. The communication channel went silent. Jake knew the aliens were debating his proposal. The next words they spoke would determine whether humanity had a future in the galaxy, or whether this first contact would end in the destruction of Earth's first interstellar fleet. The stars waited silently for their answer. The silence stretched for what felt like hours. Admiral Jake Morrison watched the alien fleet through the main window of the UES Liberty, waiting for their answer. His crew stood quietly at their stations, knowing that the next few minutes would decide the fate of humanity's place in the galaxy. Finally, Council Leader Zethtar's voice broke the silence. Admiral Morrison, after much debate, we have decided to accept your proposal, but there will be conditions. Jake felt his heart racing. We're listening. You will bring only one ship to the planet Aegis Prime, our council world. The rest of your fleet will remain here, surrounded by our vessels. If your ship tries anything hostile, your other ships will be destroyed immediately. Understood, Jake replied. Which ship would you prefer? Your flagship. You will come personally, along with a small crew. Our sensors will monitor everything you do. One wrong move and the test ends. Jake looked around his bridge. This was exactly the kind of risk that could destroy everything. But it was also their only chance to prove humanity had changed. We accept your terms, he said. 2 hours later, the UES Liberty separated from the human fleet and began following a group of alien escort ships toward Aegis Prime. Jake had chosen his crew carefully for this mission. Captain Lisa Martinez would pilot the ship, Dr. Nathan Cross would handle communications and science, and Ambassador Rachel Stone would manage diplomatic relations. He had also brought Major Sarah Walsh and 20 Marines, not for fighting, but to show that humans could be disciplined and professional. The journey to Aegis Prime took 3 days. During that time, the aliens tested them constantly. They sent technical challenges, asked difficult questions about human history, and even requested detailed scans of their ship. Jake answered every question honestly and allowed every scan. Dr. Cross spent most of the journey learning about alien cultures from the data they shared. Admiral, he said on the second day, I'm starting to understand why they're so afraid. The records they've shown us about ancient humans are terrifying. Our ancestors didn't just conquer worlds, they destroyed entire civilizations just to prove they could. But we're not them, Jake replied. We just have to find a way to prove it. Aegis Prime was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. The planet was covered with cities that looked like they had been grown rather than built. Massive towers twisted up toward the sky like living trees, connected by bridges that moved like flowing water. Ships from dozens of different species filled the sky around the planet. It's beautiful, Lisa whispered as they approached the landing platform they had been assigned. As the UES Liberty touched down, Jake could see thousands of alien beings watching from nearby buildings. Some looked curious, others looked afraid, and a few looked angry. He realized that for many of these people, humans were the monsters from their oldest nightmares. The welcoming party was led by council leader Zethtar himself. The tall, gray-skinned alien approached the human ship cautiously, flanked by guards from several different species. Jake walked down the ship's ramp with his hands visible and empty, followed by his small crew. Welcome to Aegis Prime, Admiral Morrison, Zethtar said. I hope your stay here will be peaceful. Thank you for this opportunity, Jake replied. We know how difficult this must be for you. The next few days were the strangest of Jake's life. The aliens had planned a series of tests, but they weren't the kind of tests he had expected. Instead of military challenges or technology demonstrations, they tested human character. They took Jake and his crew to hospitals where they met sick patients from dozens of species. Dr. Cross worked with alien doctors to adapt human medical technology to help patients that local medicine couldn't cure. The humans spent hours working to save lives, asking nothing in return. They visited schools where young aliens learned about galactic history. When the students saw humans for the first time, many of them hid behind their teachers. But Jake and his crew sat down and talked with them, sharing stories about Earth and showing pictures of human children playing and learning just like alien children did. They toured factories and research centers, showing alien scientists how human technology worked and learning about alien innovations in return. Instead of trying to steal secrets or find weaknesses, the humans freely shared their knowledge and asked thoughtful questions about alien achievements. But the real test came on the 4th day, when a group of radical aliens decided to attack the humans. These aliens believed that all humans should be killed before they could become dangerous again. They waited until Jake and his crew were visiting a marketplace, then launched their assault. The attack came without warning. Alien fighters armed with energy weapons surrounded Jake's group, shouting threats and demanding that the humans die for their ancestors' crimes. The marketplace erupted in panic as civilians ran for safety. Jake's Marines immediately moved to protect the civilians, placing themselves between the attackers and innocent aliens who might get hurt. Major Sarah Walsh ordered her soldiers to use non-lethal weapons only, even though the attackers were trying to kill them. Protect the civilians first, Jake ordered over his communication device. Do not fire to kill unless there's no other choice. The fight lasted only a few minutes, but it felt much longer. The humans used their superior training and technology to disable the attackers without killing them. When it was over, not a single civilian had been harmed, and all the attackers were alive but captured. Elder Rox arrived at the marketplace just as the fight ended, the old turtle-like being looked around at the scene, seeing human Marines giving medical aid to the same aliens who had just tried to kill them. Your ancestors would have killed everyone, Elder Rox said quietly to Jake. Attackers, civilians, anyone who might be a threat later. But you protected those who tried to harm you. Jake helped bandage a wounded attacker while he spoke. We're not our ancestors, Elder Rox. We believe every life has value. Word of the marketplace incident spread across Aegis Prime within hours. Video recordings showed humans risking their lives to protect aliens, even aliens who hated them. The recordings were sent to every world in the Galactic Council. That evening, Jake was called to an emergency session of the Council. Representatives from dozens of species had gathered to debate what they had learned about modern humans. The evidence is clear, Science Commander Veltar announced to the Assembly. These humans are not the silence bringers of old. They have shown us technology designed only to heal. They have protected our civilians with their own lives, and they have shared their knowledge freely. But can we trust them? Asked Representative Clicks. What happens when more humans come? What happens when they have fleets as large as ours? Elder Rox stood up slowly, his ancient voice carrying across the great hall. I have lived through the time of the silence bringers. I have seen what real monsters look like. These humans are not monsters. They are what we hoped the galaxy could become. Strong enough to protect the weak, wise enough to share knowledge, and brave enough to do what is right even when it costs them. Council Leader Zethtar called for a vote. All in favor of accepting humanity as a member species of the Galactic Council. The vote was not unanimous, but it was decisive. Humanity was welcomed into the galaxy not as conquerors, but as protectors. As Jake stood on the observation deck of the UES Liberty, preparing to return to his fleet, he watched the stars and thought about the future. The galaxy was no longer silent. The age of fear was ending, replaced by an age of cooperation and hope. Humanity had finally come home to the stars, not as the monsters their ancestors had been, but as the heroes they chose to become.